Peace, blessings, much respect, much love. It's your boy, the Ghetto Guru, aka Shango, coming back with another video. Happy Lionsgate Portal to all of y'all. It's 8-8 today. It's supposed to be a lot of abundance coming in and also a lot of releasing as well. So whatever resonates with you, if you bringing things in or if you feel like there's things to release, it's all up to you what resonates, what's going on in your life right now. Sometimes we don't realize that when things aren't happening in our life, it's because we don't have no room. So this is what I'm saying. Either you have to feel what resonates with you. Either are you releasing something right now or are you trying to bring something in? So sometimes if we're trying to bring something in and it's not coming in the way we want, maybe there's things around or people around that we need to get rid of to make room for that to come in. You know what I'm saying? Or, sometimes it might be we have too much stuff like that. We have to get rid of, other stuff that's in-house internally, not just externally with people and friends and different think of different circumstances. That's the word I was trying to find. Different circumstances. But before I go on a rant with that, I'm gonna jump straight into it. So, like I said, it's Lionsgate Portal. It's 8-8. So, what I was hearing from Spirit was that it's a lot of pride in the air. It's a lot of slide talk, a lot of slick talk, and there's a lot of just a lot of that. And a lot of people aren't really having the best time with forgiveness. And of course, Leo is pride that represents the lion. So of course, that's what I was looking for. Thank you, Spirit. It's a lot of pride and roaring like a lion. So there's nothing wrong with having pride, and there's nothing wrong with roaring like a lion to let because it is Leo season. So you should be out there networking, talking to people, showcasing your talents and abilities, putting yourself out there, being on the front stage, because Leo is attention, front stage, and it's also attracting, and also it also is attraction, and it also is good luck for expansion. So those are the things that you should be that we should be paying attention to when it comes to those things of the Leo aspect. But right now, there's a lot of pride and roaring right now, and people are being too prideful and too roaring right now. So the theme I want to focus on for this Lionsgate portal is forgiveness, which brings me to my next point. I want to talk about my friend Jordan. Everybody know him as Shank. He got killed in 2015 actually, and it's funny because Venus is in retrograde. So when I was watching a tarot reader that I like her channel, she was talking about how the Venus retrograde happens every 8 years. So she was like, go back in time to 2015 and think about whatever you was doing around that time and analyze things, people was around, situations. So I went back around that time, and that's when I realized I just kept feeling my friend's spirit for some reason, because he's a Leo too. So I kept feeling his spirit for some reason. So I looked it up, and 2015, someone was telling me to look up his death, and it was in 2015. Not only that, it was on January 15th, 3 days before my birthday, on January the 18th. And the 15th is one of my unlucky days. I don't know if y'all know lucky and unlucky days. Go look up your life path, and they'll tell you. I'm a life path 3, so my unlucky days all equal to 6 within the month. So the 15th, that was my unlucky day, and the day that I found that out was on the 24th of last month when I was looking it up, which is 6 again, 4 into a 6, so it was all crazy. But anyway, he was on my spirit heavy, and he was telling me to go look up the old yearbooks of high school and race that we went to. So luckily we got 4 yearbooks. We got a yearbook each year. Luckily we got 4, because some people only get 1. So I went to go look in my parents' drawer, because that's where the yearbooks is at, and I haven't looked in that drawer in years. So I went to go look at it, and I'm looking at all the old pictures. I was trying to really find a picture of him, but I was looking at all that stuff, and I'm looking through the books, and there was so much stuff in there that I forgot that I didn't write. So we was talking about spirituality. We had different clubs, organizations, giving out food. We was talking about, there was so much stuff in there where I'm like, oh, this applies to my life now. That's crazy. I forgot we was doing all that. All that stuff was preparing me for what I'm doing right now, speaking to you in the camera, which brings me to my next point. In the other yearbook, as I'm looking in the rest of them, I see this bird, which reminds me of a swan. It's a black bird, and it has his neck turned to his tail, which represents Sankofa. Sankofa is from West Africa. It means to go back to your past so you can know where you headed in your future. Also, some people know it as going back and getting it. I had to go back and see that in my past to know, wow, this spirituality thing and all this stuff and everything else that I was doing was all built and all on my path all along. Little did I know, even going back to school. And that connects to everything that I was connecting right now of what I'm doing. Which brings me to my next point. A lot of us are not revisiting our past. We need to revisit our past, our youth, because there are things, that's what Spirit was telling me. There are things for many of you out there that you forgot that you stopped doing, or you forgot that you stopped pursuing or tried to achieve, mainly because parents downplayed it, people around you downplayed it, and others made you feel that wasn't possible, or made you feel crazy for doing it, or made you feel embarrassed for doing it, like you didn't have the capabilities and talents. Well, you need to go back to that past and revisit those moments, because there's something in your past. It doesn't even have to be a talent or a gift. It could be, son, that's my next example. It could be a book, something, anything that you didn't even know was there, but it connects to what you're doing right now. So Spirit said right now you need to be going to revisit your past and going to figure that out. And in that drawer, I found this book that I never knew was there, and it's called Men of the Bible, written by James Stewart Bell. And it's funny because his name is James. I'm telling you, can't make this up. So I'm like, and it got dates and different men in the Bible, and he's explaining different things. And okay, we're good on the time. Just had to check the time, you already know. So he was explaining different things of the different men in the Bible, the different trials and tribulations, and the lessons that they had to learn, which applies to a lot of things that we got to learn as human beings and spirits and human bodies on this planet Earth and many other realms. But so I'm gonna read you the one for August 8th, because it applies to what I'm talking about now with the forgiveness and everything, of going back to your past to know, to learn from your past, to know to where you're headed to your future. So August 8th, right? It's called Fatherly Love, the Prodigal Son. So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him and kissed him. Luke 15, verse 20. In the book, he also gives a lot of stories and every verse and stuff like that examples. So this is a story that he gave an example of. Paco ran away from home without even leaving a note. His heartbroken father searched for his son for months to no avail. In a last-ditch effort to find his boy, he put an ad in a Madrid newspaper. Dear Paco, meet me in front of this newspaper office at noon on Saturday. All is forgiven. I love you, your father. That Saturday, hundreds of boys named Paco stood in front of the newspaper office, each waiting to receive his father's love and forgiveness. A good father loves and forgives like the father Jesus described in his famous story of a father and his wayward son. It's not hard to imagine this kind of father shedding bitter tears to be watched as he watched the son he loved so much taking his inheritance and disappearing from view. It's also easy to imagine him praying passionately every day that the boy would return home and rejoin the family. That was all he could do other than watch and wait. When this father saw his son appear on the horizon, he recognized him instantly. Despite the shuffle and the haggard appearance, he knew him. He couldn't just stand and wait for his boy to reach home. So he ran to his son and eagerly welcomed him back, not as a servant or as damaged goods, but as a much-loved son in good standing. But going out his way to restore a broken relationship, this fictional father became an example of a loving dad's forgiveness and grace. How many of other Pacos out there need to experience the same thing? What man or woman, boy or girl, close to you needs this kind of love, forgiveness, and grace? Can you provide it? What specifically can you do to make the gift a very special event? When you freely give of yourself in this way, you heal your relationships and set an example for others. Now that brings me to my next point to end this video. So we get the Sankofa, going back to your past, to learn from your past, and know where you're headed in your future. And then we just read that about the prodigal son. Even though he did something to the father that was unjust, the father still was just wanting his son to be back, and no matter what he did, because it's showing the unconditional love he had for his son and showing forgiveness. So this is back to the topic what I was saying in the beginning. There's a lot of pride, there's a lot of raw, and there's a lot of that in the air. Right now, you need to put the pride to the side and you need to put forgiveness to the front. We're not saying, I'm not saying that you gotta go contact these people, hit them up, associate with them, hang out with them. But before you forgive those people, we need to, spirit needs y'all to go back to your past and forgive that child that you forgot about. Similar to the prodigal son. A lot of y'all left it with a lot of y'all that childhood stuff, y'all left it behind. It ran away. Whether you a man or a woman, a lot of people are running from their past. Ain't it funny how we try to go back and change our past instead of trying to create a new future? Ain't it funny how we try to go back and change our past instead of creating a new future? We stuck in the past so much that we let that affect our future. We don't realize that we go back in the past and we reliving it, and we're reliving that little kid all over again, even as an adult. When we start going back and talking about, oh yeah, I remember when my parent did this. I remember when these people did this when I was younger. I remember when this person did this to me when I was in a relationship. I remember they did this to me at this job when I was younger. And we don't realize we're going right back to that little kid inside of us, man or woman, that little boy, that little girl, and we are shaming ourselves for not standing up for ourselves during those times, or shaming ourselves and making ourselves feel bad for not handling it in a different way like we would now. Well, the message today during this Lionsgate portal, you have to forgive that child and you have to go back and get it. Back to what I said, it's a lot of stuff in the past that we forgot. It's a lot of things that we stopped doing that gave us joy in our heart and soul, and we need to find that back. There's a lot of emptiness a lot of people have in their hearts because they stopped doing things that gave them joy, and because they left that little girl or that little boy behind. They need to go get that little boy and get that little girl and give them a hug and forgive them for whatever happened in the past, or whatever they didn't do when they was younger, whatever they didn't accomplish, whatever. You got to go back and make peace with that little boy and little girl inside of you so you can be free and learn from your past and know where you're going and headed in your future. But it all, excuse me, I just want to check the time real quick. But it all starts with you going back and rekindling that flame with that little boy and that little girl. So, and letting them know it's okay to return back home. Home is back within you. You have to call them in. You have to call it in. So you have to call that little boy and that little girl back into your life so you can forgive them. Just like the prodigal son, it didn't matter what happened. So it doesn't matter what that younger you did when you was a younger kid, a teenager, a young adult. It doesn't matter. Whatever you did that you didn't like or you feel like you could have did better, forgive that version of you and hug them and tell them to come home. Forgive them. It doesn't matter what they did. It doesn't matter the ugliness that version of you did. You have to forgive yourself and forgive that childhood. And forgive that child that you were and that you still have inside of you, so you can make peace with the past, so you can now head to the future with a better perspective and a better heart filled with joy and filled with pure intentions and happiness, and not filled with bitterness, regret, and filled with just hatred and envy. So we have to go back to the past, just like Sankofa, to learn from our past so we can know what we had in our future. We have to go back and get it. And for a lot of us, it starts with that little boy and that little girl that we forgot, and they ran away. And we never went to go search for them because we were scared to go back to our past because of those wounds. We were scared to go back to our past to learn from those wounds. So we let that little boy, that little girl run away. But we need to go search for them. We need to put the siren out and tell them to come back home, just like the prodigal son, and forgive that version of us, because we are not that and we are headed somewhere better. So peace, blessing, much respect, much love. I hope all is well with y'all. I wish y'all nothing but the best. I love y'all. If your day ain't going good, I hope it get greater. And like I always say, whether we jog, whether we run, whether we sprint or crawl, because life is that hard sometimes. You can't run, you can't jog, you can't sprint. You got to crawl to that destination. But like I always say, somehow, some way, we got to get to our destination someday. So peace, blessing, much respect, much love. And to the next topic.